Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to today's episode of the World of Gaming. And after skipping last week's podcast, Dutch, we are back, and I want to welcome our awesome community. I see a lot of familiar names already in the chat. Big welcome to you guys, but of course also a big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. A big welcome. Dutch, how are you doing, my man?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just tired and in need of a longer break than a standard 2-day weekend right now. But yeah, it is what it is. I haven't really had the energy to do much at the moment, like just doing things about the house and work and things. So when I've had a very brief moment to game, I've gamed a little bit, but otherwise just try to relax.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, very similar. More than ready for vacation, but it is a while. We have very late school vacations here in Germany, or at least in the south of Germany where I live. So it's another six weeks until I get a vacation. And it feels too long, man. It feels too long.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm good, man. I'm good. And I hope everyone else is doing fantastic. Today, we're gonna have an awesome show, hopefully, as always. Usually we have an awesome show and enjoy ourselves. And even when there are weeks where we think news are light, we still end up doing way too long podcasts. So let's see where we will be this week. We have a lot to talk. A lot of things in the world of Xbox happened, and we just had basically breaking news, and we will talk about everything. But first, of course, we want to know from everyone in the community, what are you guys playing right now? And Dutch, what are you playing?
Yeah, I decided to start Days Gone again the other day. I thought I'd give it another chance. It wasn't a game that, like Horizon, it wasn't a game that, with Horizon, the protagonist bored me to tears. So I didn't get along with it because of that. The game in itself was sound mechanically and combat-wise was fine, but the story didn't click with me because I didn't like the protagonist. I didn't like Eloy. I thought she was just dull. Days Gone, on the other hand, I just dropped off it, and I don't know why I did. It might have just been the influx of the amount of different zombie open world game things at the time, or the amount of open world games. So I picked it back up again. I'm enjoying Days Gone, so I'm just playing through that. I think I'm not too far off the end of it now, so I'm looking forward to kind of finishing that, hopefully over the weekend. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much all when I've had a spare moment, I've just been jumping on that for a little bit and doing a few missions and then coming back off again.
Did you start a new playthrough?
Yeah, start a new playthrough. Yeah.
I really did enjoy Days Gone, honestly. I thought it was very underrated when it launched. Yeah, it had its technical issues at the beginning, but the game itself was fantastic. I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed how they opened up the world. The map is insanely huge.
Yeah.
You don't realize that at the very beginning. Yeah, I had a blast with Days Gone. Sweet.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of gets on your nerves a little bit is having to make sure you go and find enough things to create enough Molotovs to take out the nests. And clear certain areas. And I mean, other than just those things where you've got to scour the place, everything else is all right. And of course, having to drive through the tunnel every time you need to get through one section to the other is it's more of an obstacle than it is than anything else. It's just like, weave in and out of the cars and get through.
It will get a little bit more exciting to drive through the tunnels a little later in the game.
Oh yeah, and it's obviously the hordes. When the hordes come into it, that's when it starts to get a little bit sketchy. One of the tunnels that I was going through the other day was just that. I got through, and then there was just a giant horde standing in front of the exit. So a few deaths later, managed to get through. But
Yeah.
but no, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it again. So I'm gonna complete it. I was looking at it to see what the trophy things were like, but yeah, I'm not gonna faff around doing a platinum on that. I'm just gonna complete the game.
Nice. Nice. Let's see what the community has been playing. Hang on one sec. There we go. Stormplayer DX is playing the old Call of Duties. Nice. Even though they might come to Game Pass. We'll
Yes.
talk about that. We'll talk about that. Hertog Vin, our friend from the Netherlands,
Yes.
has just 100%ed Ayuden Chronicles. Sweet. Fantastic
Nice.
game. Really, really.
I need to get back to that. I need to get back to it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Potty Penguin is playing RoboCop and Destiny 2. Oh man, RoboCop. So good. So good. That game was a true surprise to me. I didn't expect much, but it stays so true to the source material, and you have just that RoboCop feeling, and I totally did enjoy that. What else? The Epirist is playing the pardon me, the Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Nice. And Omitoni is playing the First Descendant, and he tried Chia for a couple of minutes. Good. I haven't played First Descendant. Did you try that out? I mean, it's
no, not yet, not yet. I've only just found out it's free to play, so I might download it and see what it's like.
Yeah.
But there was certainly no chance I was going to pick it up if there was a price tag attached to it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is free to play, so good. And it seems a lot of people are actually enjoying it, so I might give it a chance. The Big Bridge is playing Dark Souls. Nice. The original, I assume. Jonas the Dead has been playing Robin Hood Sherwood Builder. Yeah, I've seen that, man. It looks kind of interesting. Yeah, good stuff. Pyro is playing New Game Plus of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Sweet. And Igor is playing the Gears Ultimate Edition. Sweet. Good stuff there. Yeah, so I've been mostly hooked on Octopath Traveler 2.
Yeah.
I'm 30-something hours now into the game. And man, it is so good. I really did enjoy the first one, but the first one was very grindy, you know?
Yeah.
And this one is definitely significantly less grindy. And
yeah.
I'm really enjoying the different characters and their stories, and it is just so addictive. I'm having a blast with that game. Really.
Yeah.
In between that, I have been jumping into Starfield a little bit, played around with some of the mods on console, which is also a lot of fun, but I forgot to record gameplay. That's why it's not in the poll today. I'm sorry. That will be in there next week, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that has basically kept me busy, Dutch.
Nice.
Sweet. And did we forget someone in the chat? Jonas the Dead says he loves seeing the wide variety of games here in the chat, and I couldn't agree more. Since there haven't been that many major releases the past couple of weeks, besides maybe the Elden Ring DLC,
yeah.
I feel like when I browse through my playlist and when I look into what my friends are playing, everyone seems to be catching up with a lot of different games, and
yeah,
that's the beauty of gaming right now, right?
It's the same on PlayStation by all accounts. I haven't. There's not been many people on my playlist playing the Elden Ring or Elden Ring DLC either. Granted, I don't have many people on PlayStation, but I've got hundreds of people on on Xbox, and there's not many
Yeah.
people who've been playing the Elden Ring DLC or Elden Ring. And to be fair, I had massive FOMO for Elden Ring when that released, so I picked up Elden Ring. And I enjoyed what I played, but I've had a zero FOMO for Shadow of the Erdtree. None.
Yeah. I was thinking about it, but to be honest, I'm just not in the mood to get punished by a game right
Yeah,
now. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just not. And as much as I enjoyed Elden Ring, I'm really not in the mood right now. I might pick the DLC up some point later, but right now I'm so happy with Octopath. So,
yeah.
um,
I'm doing it like you. I'm catching up with a lot of things before we get whenever the games release Avowed and things like that later on in the year.
yeah, yeah,
I'm just doing some catching up. The likes of Ayuden and Octopath and Days Gone and things like that.
yeah.
Let's get them all done and dusted and put them to bed before we start some new stuff.
Good stuff. And actually, Octopath Traveler won the poll, today's poll. So I,
Everyone likes the pretty visuals, you see.
yeah, it is drop dead gorgeous. So um, I'm just gonna throw in some early gameplay at the beginning,
Yeah.
and maybe later. I'm now level 45 with my group, so but we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later in the show then. And let me shout out Fanto Sir, who just became a channel member. Uh, Thank you so much for the support. Super appreciate that. But with that, let us go into some actual topics of the week.
Yes.
And I think the big one, the biggest news of the week, let's start with that, was the price hike of Game Pass. Microsoft announced they are going to increase the subscription price for Game Pass. It varies in different countries. Here in Germany, they raised the price from 15 to 18 euros, which I was surprised by, honestly, because usually they convert dollars equally to euro, but this time they didn't, because it went up to 20 bucks in the US. I'm not really sure what is it now in the UK.
It would be £14.99 for Ultimate as of September.
Ultimate. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. So yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of different discussions on and opinions about that, and of course, we want to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Let us know in the chat. Dutch, what did you think about that before I go into my thoughts?
This is like more of an adult grown-up rant here because like the amount of price rises I've had this year, this is the least concerning of the all of them. And that's just in terms of adult expenses. If I'm talking about I live by myself. I have my own bills to worry about. Rent's up, council tax is up, utilities are up significantly. Like I'm talking compared to 2 years ago, they're up like 300%. When I'm talking about rent, that went up by like almost 70 a month. Then you're talking food shopping, which is almost 200% increase. Transportation's increased by about 150%. Like everything that is day-to-day living is up by the hundreds of percent.
Yeah.
So when I get a minor increase on subscriptions of £1 or £2 a month, etc., it's the least of my concerns. Like it's honestly, like I don't understand people are frustrated by yet another increase and things like that, but in the grand scheme of things, it is the least of my worries. Having to pay an extra £2 to access hundreds of games and not pay £70 up front to buy them. Like I don't care. Like if I'm getting access to games at a significantly cheaper way than buying them up front for £70, when everything else in my life is substantially skyrocketed in recent months, then I'm still okay with that. I think we mentioned months ago what our when we were talking about potential price increases, because it was bound to happen, what our kind of level would be.
Yeah.
And I think we all said 15 sounds about right if they're going to increase it, and we're expecting it to go to about 15 mark, when in terms of pounds, conversion to euros would have been around about the same. I think we said that about that amount would be okay. I think when you're starting to talk about maybe £20, £25, or anything like that, if it starts to get towards the £20 mark, then I would start to go, okay, it's getting a little bit iffy. This, like, in terms of it still holds value, but then the service needs to start pumping out more and quick to be able to kind of justify that. And yes, we love the indie titles, and yes, we love the big titles, etc. But not every game is for everybody, despite how many games are on Game Pass. So there's no, like, we're not going to play everything. And there's only going to be maybe one or two of those games that are put on that service that you'll get a chance to play every month anyway. So everybody has to weigh up whether or not they find value in that service to continue it. At £15 a month, there's still substantial value in it for me to do it. We don't want increases, but it's the least worrying increase out of everything I've had over the last year.
Yeah.
Bottom line for me, it just doesn't bother us, and I can understand everybody else's frustrations on it, but it's just so much bigger fish to fry at the moment for me to really care about an extra £2. Like £2, I spend more than that on my daily food amounts at work or buying a coffee. Like, coffee's double or triple that these days compared to what it was a couple of years back.
Yeah.
You know? So it's less than the price of a small coffee. So it doesn't bother me slightly. I can understand it though, but ultimately everybody's going to have to watch their own pockets. If for them it's no longer a viable option, completely understandable. Cancel it or only get it when a certain game comes out. That's going to be your best bet. If you need it for online play, then get the lowest version of online play you can for Game Pass, and then only upgrade to Ultimate when a new game drops. If you want to play that new game for a month, you're just gonna just manage it as it comes. But it is what it is. It's a very reason I don't subscribe to the premium version of PS Plus, because I do not find value in the premium subscription. Like, PS Plus Extra is the highest I will go on that service, because premium doesn't provide anything for me that I find worthy. The only kickback we can see with regards to pricing here is when you compare the fact that PC Game Pass is cheaper and still gets all day ones, when two of the versions on console no longer get day one, and only Ultimate does, which is more expensive than PC Game Pass. So that's where you can kind of see people going, well, what's going on Xbox? Like, PC Game Pass is £4 a month cheaper or £3 a month cheaper, and they still get day one, and they don't have to pay for Xbox Live and don't require Xbox Live, so they're getting extra than we are for less.
Yeah.
So I can understand that toss up and that perspective. But in terms of what I need it for, which is the fact that I pay for it on Ultimate, and I use it on console, I use it on mobile, and I use it on cloud, and I use it on PC, so I'm getting the full benefits of it. I'm being able to use that thing across multiple devices. But if somebody only has a console and doesn't need Ultimate for anything other than console, there needs to be a better tier on console that isn't Ultimate, that requires every platform, that still gets day one, and it is a cheaper model. And I think standard should be that. I think standard for console should be, okay, you get your day one releases and it's just console. You don't have access to PC. You don't have access to cloud. You've just got the console day one. That's it. And I think that's that ultimately, outside of the pricing thing. I think the pricing thing is take it or leave it. People are going to have issues with the pricing regardless, but I think the ultimate problem here is the structure of the new layout. Having core, standard, and ultimate on Xbox for no reason, and then PC Game Pass.
Yeah.
which gives you access to everything but cheaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that is probably the bigger concern, honestly, at least from the discussions I've seen on Twitter in the last couple of days. I mean, you bring up a lot of good points there. Of course, like you said, this was kind of inevitable. We all knew at some point they're gonna raise the price of the subscription. It's still cheaper than Netflix, though. Yeah, so um, but yeah, every other subscription went up. Spotify went up, Netflix went up, Disney Plus went up. So we all knew that this was coming. I
I'm
just
pretty sure as well, like Disney Plus, I'm pretty sure Disney Plus in the last 12 months has went up twice. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure it
definitely,
has.
definitely.
I think it went from 5.99 to 7.99, and now I'm paying
Yeah,
10.99.
they had a price, definitely a price increase end of June, and it was somewhere end of last year as well. So
Yeah.
um, yeah. Uh, the Epirus says my mic is significantly quieter than yours. So I'm trying to increase the volume on my end. Um, yeah. So I feel like, of course, we knew this is coming. I just feel like it's a kind of a bad timing. I thought, well, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it when they have a little better cadence of games coming to it, especially first party games, you know. Um, I mean, it's not like Game Pass has had like bad game releases or so, but I think that the big value comes, of course, with the day one releases, and this is where it gets kind of muddled now. They have this. They remove the the day one Game Pass drops from the standard subscription. It's now only in Ultimate, and I thought, well, maybe they're gonna do it towards the end of the year, after having had a couple of months with Hellblade 2, and then Stalker 2, and Avowed, and Indiana Jones, and Call of Duty, and then like people see, okay, this is really the true value of Game Pass, because if we are honest, that yeah, they always had the day one Game Pass drops, but since they didn't have that many um, first party games in the first place, those were kind of rare. Yeah, like noteworthy releases last year were Starfield and Forza, and the year before they didn't have anything, and so I feel like, okay, if you're gonna increase the price, you're not gonna do it before you bring value, but after you bring value, and then you know, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But of course,
I
overall,
think either way can be viewed as a bit of a dick move, though. So if you increase it
yeah,
beforehand and you're like, "Ooh, look at this! Like, why have they done this?" Of course, it's because of Call of Duty. But
yeah,
then if you entice people in with Call of Duty and then the next month you increase the price, you're like,
yeah,
"What the?"
also
You know what I
true,
mean?
also true, and of course, Game Pass is still the best value by
Yeah.
far that you can get in gaming right now. Even at 18 euros now, or 20 US dollar, 15 pounds, or um, whatever. Like you said, the value is still there. If you would like, I play not just, of course, indies. I also play a lot of bigger games.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna buy. I didn't buy Hellblade, to be honest. I'm not gonna buy Avowed and Indiana Jones. I saved that money and buy other games with that.
Yeah.
It's still a fantastic value, you know. Um, so yeah, the price hike isn't that surprising. It's annoying, of course. I would love to have it stay the way
Stay
it
the same
was,
forever.
obviously.
Yeah.
But I feel like that the point you brought up is that, again, it kind of feels like they are deprioritizing the consoles by, like you said, having Game Pass on PC, where you get day one drops, is cheaper than if you want it on console. And yes, you can argue all day long that's because it's basically Game Pass PC plus. Xbox Live Gold, or what used to be Xbox Live Gold that you pay for online.
Yeah.
That has always been the case on console. But again, with everything that they have done this year, especially this year, yeah, like, okay, we're gonna decide case by case basis which games are gonna be exclusive or not, and all these discussions, and then we're gonna decide case by case, um, uh, which games come day one, and they don't have a clear messaging around, okay, when are they going to enter the standard subscriptions? This is after 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. It's going to be
I
decided.
think Jez has kind of had that clarified, and as it stands, there is no definitive, but it's going to be between 6 and 12 months on the standard one. Is when Xbox Day One games eventually go to standard. So it depends on how much of a rush you're in to play those games in standard. And I've just realised I'm not even using my right microphone because this has come unplugged.
People in the chat also say I should move closer. Something is weird today. I don't know what it is. I can't really move.
There we go. That should be better as well for me. My actual microphone's in now, and I'm not coming through the laptop.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, my overall thoughts on it, though, as usual, I'm not going to kick up a massive stink. Everyone thinks you need to be absolutely outraged about price hikes, etc. And ultimately, you can't just be continuously angry about everything that happens in the world, especially when there's so many things increasing at the moment. And if you live by yourself or you live with your family, etc., everybody knows. Everybody is fully aware of just how much more expensive living is right now. And it's so much of a small inconvenience having a £2 a month change or a $3 change than it is having your rent or your mortgage skyrocket or like whatever it is. Like everything's just so much significantly more expensive that something so small is so insignificant to me right now. But ultimately, my overall thoughts on it is watch your own pockets. If it's no longer of value for yourself, or you can't see the value in it anymore for you, then don't subscribe to it, cancel it, downgrade it, whatever you've got to do to make it worthwhile to you, and that's going to help yourself financially. If it's okay for you, then it's okay for you. Great, then continue it. You should call it out if you don't agree with it. And I think overall, the only thing that we disagree with is just the messiness around the different structure that they've brought out again, adding yet another tier to Game Pass that didn't need to be there, and changing it from console to standard and core, and like you don't need all of this. You just make two of them. You have your standard, which is priced fairly, and you have your ultimate, which is everything combined. And granted, you're going to have a standard on console and you're going to have a standard on PC. Both of those should be the same. And ultimate should be the all-encompassing one for those who have a PC and a console and want to play on both of them. Okay, that's a little bit extra. It covers both ones instead of paying for two. That should be how it's structured. It's such a simple way of doing things that I don't know why they don't do that. Do a smaller option that is just console only, that has your day one releases, doesn't have cloud. Do another version on PC that is smaller option, day one releases, doesn't have cloud. And then you have your ultimate, which has your cloud, your PC, and your console all combined. Simple. Why is that not a thing? Why do they have to have 3 on console and 1 on PC?
That's a good question. That's a very good question, and I don't know. But I feel like, it kind of sucks, of course, but overall,
it just boils down to the marketing thing again. It boils down to Microsoft's terrible approach to marketing. It makes no sense.
It does not. Let us use that as a segue into the next topic, because we basically had breaking news, right? Just about an hour before the show started, Tom Warren posted something that Microsoft is changing their strategy for Xbox in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And they will also stop progressively promoting in certain markets. Didn't specify which markets, and focus basically on Game Pass, PC, and cloud gaming, as well as controllers. So, yeah, change of strategy for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Looks like they're gonna reduce marketing.
Reduce market.
That was when I was reading that, I was like
reduce
how?
What marketing?
How is that even possible, right?
How can you reduce marketing that isn't existent?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. I don't know. But yeah, they're gonna change their strategy for those markets. So, what do you think? I've seen everyone is going crazy on Twitter about this. So, what do you think? What does that mean? I mean, like we've talked so many times how Xbox marketing is literally non-existing here in Europe. And I know that sometimes our friends from the US kind of have a hard time believing that because it's very different over there. But over here, there's absolutely zero marketing, and most people don't even know that that an Xbox exists. So I don't know what else you could do to change that strategy other in the other direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's if there is I don't understand how they could possibly reduce the marketing on Xbox in UK and Europe. I don't know how that is physically possible that they could do that. It doesn't exist. I mentioned even when Hellblade 2 was literally releasing, and this I know Hellblade wasn't marketed the best anyway, but even when Hellblade 2 was literally releasing the week of its release and at release, everyone I'd spoken to that has an Xbox over here didn't even know it was coming, didn't know it existed, didn't know what it was, hadn't seen it. That's the same for every Xbox release that is like Xbox specific, console exclusive, or even exclusive title, first party title that releases. Nobody knows it is coming out on Xbox over here, other than those that are ingrained on playing games every day.
Yeah.
The kind of semi gamer, the casual gamer, nobody knows. No one knows what's coming on.
Yeah.
No idea. Marketing doesn't exist, so I don't know how they could possibly reduce marketing in Europe and UK.
I don't know.
They can't.
I don't know. And
if they are spending money on marketing that's somehow putting a hole in their pocket in the UK and Europe, I'd love to know on what.
Yeah.
What are you wasting money on that is clearly not working in the UK and Europe?
Yeah, I have no idea. In terms of marketing, I totally agree with you. And the weird thing is, okay, they want to change strategy, and what at least I got from Tom Warren's report is that they are going to focus basically on Game Pass, PC, and Xcloud. And again, this is another feels another step. Okay, they don't put the focus on console because that's exactly what the report says. Yeah, PC Game Pass focus, but not the console. And honestly, since they are already outsold, like on average 7-1, 8-1, in some months even 10-1. It really baffles me, and it just tells you, yeah, the console really isn't the focus for them anymore. They just don't care, and it might turn out eventually for them. I mean, business is selling software and not selling consoles. I get that, but at the end of the day, I love my consoles. Every console I have, and I have them all. Yeah, and I want them to be healthy, and it just doesn't look like Microsoft is gonna focus on that anymore.
Nope.
Let me catch up on a couple of super chats. First one of the day came in from Fantoser and he says, greetings, brothers. Loving Grand Blue Fantasy. It's fire. Good stuff, man. I've seen a few people play that actually. It's apparently really, really good. Another super chat came in from Drawn TJ. He says, "Hey guys, sorry I haven't been around. Been working 14-hour days lately. Oh, brother, that doesn't sound healthy. Take care of yourself, man. But I'm glad you're here now. And I hope you and everyone else here is doing great. And if you do enjoy the show, by the way, it would be awesome for you to consider to hit the like button. It really helps us out. But yeah, Dutch, let us move on. A couple of rumors, since we are on the subject of Xbox Game Pass and things. There have been quite a few rumors lately that a couple of games we all have been waiting for are apparently coming to Game Pass. There have been a couple of rumors from, honestly, like sources I really don't trust, so I don't want to get too much into that, but there's the rumor out there that Crash Bandicoot and Tony Hawk and Spyro, the trilogy, is joining soon Game Pass. Others say Atlas Fallen Order is gonna join Game Pass. But the sources that I rarely trust leakers these days.
Yeah.
But a few I do trust, and Jess Corden and Tom Henderson reported that apparently Modern Warfare 3 is coming this month to Game Pass. So, what do you think, man? Could this be? Do you expect that? How legit is that? Would you be excited? So many questions, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, the likes of Spyro and Crash and things I already own because they were things I grew up on. And as soon as they released, they were the remasters and the trilogies, I had to have them. So I think I've got them on multiple times now, and I've bought other people the games as well several times because they loved them as well and they grew up on them. But yeah, it's they're the games that I was kind of expecting, the Spyro and the Crash trilogy and things like that, to be some of the first to go on there. Modern Warfare 3 is a little bit of a surprise. I didn't expect, if that is to happen, I didn't expect that so quick. But good news if it is, because that's one of the games I also refused to buy because it wasn't much of a jump over Modern Warfare 2. So I'll play that for a little bit before Black Ops 6 comes out. Have a little bit of fun on that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Atlas Fallen I didn't play as well, so I'll give that a shot. Yeah, it's good to hear the start of that, and I think we saw as well there was been massive change in they've got a massive sale on Call of Duty titles on Xbox at the moment as well.
Yeah.
For Game Pass subscribers, so there's a likelihood that a lot of these older Call of Duty games are going to Game Pass. You don't tend to see Game Pass benefits on games that aren't already in the subscription service, not like that. So yeah, I think there's a good chance that a lot of these older Call of Duty titles and Modern Warfare 3 will be coming very soon. I just hope they don't dump them all at the same time. I hope they kind of space it out a little bit.
I doubt that, honestly.
Yeah.
It's, again, I really don't want to greatly discuss the rumors from the people or not really trustworthy sources. So yeah, eventually we will get Tony Hawk and Crash Bandicoot at some point. So that's an educated guess. Having Modern Warfare 3 in Game Pass this month is significantly more specific and comes from better sources. So yeah, I would like that, because I still think it's kind of weird that it's been now nine months since they officially acquired ABK, and the only game we've seen in Game Pass so far is Diablo, which obviously it's the best one, but of the recent ABK games. But pardon me. I basically already owned that, and I actually was looking forward to play some of the Call of Duty campaigns that I've missed. So yeah, I would love Modern Warfare 3 to come in, and I doubt that they will drop them all at once. I really don't think so. Just not gonna happen. And yeah, Modern Warfare 3 is the most recent one. Would be cool to play that campaign just before the
new
Black
one
Ops
drops.
6 comes in. So yeah, let's see if that turns out to be true. It definitely would make sense for them to start drip feeding us with ABK games, because they did do not all Bethesda games, but like I don't remember, like 20 Bethesda games or so at once after they acquired them, right? And it's not like they have to code new versions. Xbox versions already kind of exist for all of those games. So I'm really surprised that we haven't seen much in Game Pass just yet. And it kind of would make sense to bridge a little bit, like, the summer gap before the fall season starts and tons of other games come in. They really don't need to release ABK games into Game Pass in September, October, November. There's tons of other stuff coming out, not just in Game Pass, but in general. We'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, so it would make sense for them to drop something this month, maybe something next month in August, and then more towards December, January again,
Yeah.
Sith Lord sends in a channel member chat for being a channel member for 23 months now. Super appreciate the continued support here. And he says he's excited Game Pass is going to get games. Yeah. A lot of games are actually coming for the rest of the year into Game Pass. We'll talk about that a little later. That's another thing Xbox related happened this week. It was already announced, like I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, that Xcloud is coming to Amazon Fire TV, and as of this week, people can actually play through Fire TV on Xcloud.
Yep.
And so that wasn't really big of a news. We already knew that, but it was kind of overshadowing that launch is an ad that they put out, where I've seen a lot of people got angry about that when they were advertising this now with a TV spot in the US, obviously. Nothing here in Germany, at least. I don't know about the UK, but nothing in Germany. But in the US, they had this TV commercial where they are saying, or the new Xbox advert says, that you don't need an Xbox to play Xbox. And that sentence kind of got picked up. And I wanted to hear your thoughts on this.
Again, it's just another avenue to play cloud gaming. It's okay. It's still not the best cloud gaming section you can have. Nvidia still rules the roost on that front in terms of streaming for gaming. Ultimately, do I still think it's going to have a big impression on Xbox's Game Pass subscriber counts? No. The vast majority who buy Fire Sticks aren't gaming on the Fire Sticks. They get Fire Sticks to watch dodgy channels and use streaming apps for videos, and that's about it. No one uses a Fire Stick to game.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sorry, but because of the horrific marketing around Game Pass in the first place, no one's going to go out and buy a Fire Stick and then buy a controller and play Xbox Game Pass on a Fire Stick, other than people who already have a controller and Xbox Game Pass and a Fire Stick.
Maybe there are a handful of people that already, are subscribed to Ultimate because they have a PC and have a controller. But I do agree. I don't see this as a chance to significantly grow. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I don't think that people are gonna subscribe to Game Pass because they can play it on Fire.
Especially Game Pass Ultimate.
Especially Ultimate, and it's just another options for already, existing customers, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm always pro more options. But yeah, I don't see that growing. And as for the TV ad, well, it's this kind of marketing and this kind of messaging why they always come out and say, well, the console market isn't growing. And I always just think, well, it's just not growing for you guys. Because, is PlayStation and Nintendo significantly growing? No. I do understand that there is a limit to the console space, if you combine all consoles together, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, you end up at around 250 million consoles sold, plus minus, depending on the generation, right? But since your competition always ends up at around at least 100 million consoles sold, there's definitely room for Xbox to grow. There's no reason for them not being able to sell like 100 plus million consoles like the Nintendo and PlayStations do throughout a console cycle, console generation. But of course, with this kind of messaging, again, it comes down or back to the argument we had earlier. Console just not a focus for them, right? And with this messaging, they're just continuing to give gamers that impression, right? So yeah, good that there are more options for the customers already, right? That we also had some kind of sad news this week. I don't know if you've seen that, but another studio got closed by Embracer. This time it's Piranha Bytes, makers of the Gothic series and Elex. And I had to talk about that because it was a German studio, right? So, I'm kind of sad because, well, I did enjoy the Elex games. They weren't super duper great, but kind of good games to play just casually. But especially with Gothic, I'm kind of sad because
Boxy, you keep getting people saying that your audio keeps like coming in and out, like going quiet and then loud. I don't know whether or not your gain might be a little bit messed up or something.
I have no idea.
Has it got a noise gate on or anything like that, where it kind of tries to black out the background noise?
I'm just checking that. Honestly, I have no idea. Let me try one thing here. And let's see if this works.
Have you, or even on StreamYard, maybe has it got the thing where it cuts your sound, the background sound out?
No idea.
Echo cancellation or reduced background noise, is that ticked? Oh, you're muted now.
I have no idea. I just
can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No sound.
No sound. No sound. Damn it. And now? Can people hear me? Huh.
Technology, don't we love it? Still.
Okay. Can you hear me now? That is so weird. I think people in the chat can hear me.
Still no sound.
I'm not sure. Huh. Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Still not. Can you hear me now?
Yay, there we go.
There we go. Huh. I think people in the chat were able to hear me, but you weren't. No
For some
idea.
reason, I couldn't hear you.
There's nothing obvious going on, so I've no idea what is happening. And I'm very sorry. Let's see. Let's just continue and see if this turns out.
Yes.
So yeah,
me about Piranha Studio.
Piranha Studios. Yeah, man, I have so much nostalgia for that studio because I really, really enjoyed the Gothic games. Even 3. I know people hate on 3, but I had a blast with Gothic 3, and especially 2. 2 was peak, 1 was fantastic, and it's getting a remake. I can't wait for that. It's luckily done. I'm happy that it's done by a different studio. And not Piranha Bytes themselves, the remake. So we will still get that. But yeah, Embracer shutting down another studio. What are your thoughts, man?
Like a lot of these companies that invest in gaming, bit off more than they could chew. It's a sector that needs both heavy investment and a lot of patience, because it's not something that you're going to get a return on your investment on overnight. When you buy these studios, you're ultimately buying long term. You're spending hundreds of millions of pounds on it, and the games that they're creating then need hundreds of millions of pounds worth invested in, and then it takes 6 years to recoup that money. 6 years before you even see the game that comes out, before they start recouping money, and there's no guarantee that it's going to recoup the money. So you have to have a lot of wiggle room financially behind it in order to sustain looking after studios. It's a bit different when you're a company that's specifically in the business of gaming, and the whole purpose of these studios is to continue to create content and content and content and content in order to sustain something. But when you're a group like Embracer that isn't all about gaming and just has a few gaming studios in a very large portfolio of companies that all offer entirely different things, whether it be music or clothing or distribution or other random things, which is what Embracer is. It's just a conglomerate of companies. Then it's ultimately not going to work. They don't have the same risk assessment and the likes of these actual gaming companies do. So it's a shame. It's a shame, because these studios would have thought this is going to give us a little bit of protection, a little bit of getting out of the limelight of these big corporations and have a little bit more stability. And it's turned out to be the absolutely the opposite effect. Went from the smoke and into the fire.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Embracer just did too much, especially after them buying for, I think it was 2 billion or something like that, big studios like Crystal Eidos and so on, and the rights to the Lords of the Rings and stuff like that. They did just do too much, and now, of course, especially the smaller ones are suffering. We've seen so many closures by Embracer over the last year. It's very unfortunate, very unfortunate. And with Piranha Bytes, I again have so much nostalgia for them. It's kind of unfortunate to see. but it's something we can't change, Dutch,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So I just hope that all the developers that are affected by the layoffs will bounce back quickly on their feet, and that they will continue to make great games. So,
Yep.
Dutch, we have the summer coming up, right? And with the
We
summer,
do.
yeah, I can feel it, man. It's like
A positive.
building
Well,
up
maybe somehow.
somehow.
Maybe it's not in the UK, but maybe somewhere else.
Somewhere else. It's it's insanely ugly weather here in Germany. We have like 30 plus degrees, but it's raining twice a day, and then the sun comes out again. So it's always like insanely humid. The
Yeah.
humidity is killing me. But that's not what I wanted to talk to you about. Usually, of course, during the summer, a lot of the studios go on summer breaks. Everyone's going on summer vacation and so on, and that's the reason why sometimes news are a little lighter. Sometimes we don't get that many bigger game releases for a month or two, and we do have that now in July and August. But at the end of August, it'll start again. Tons of bigger games are going to come out, and so I wanted to use this opportunity today to talk to you about the exciting year of 2024 ahead. Because I compiled a list of the biggest releases that are coming a little later this year, and I wanted to talk to you about, and of course with everyone in the community here, about some of those games that we are going to play this year, because gaming is in such a great spot. We always try to focus so much on the negativity and the big headlines, and they are usually negative because negativity just gets clicks. Yeah, that's the business. But at the end of the day, um, it's a fantastic time to be a gamer. And so I thought we make it a topic today, and just talk a little bit about the roadmap of 2024 and the good stuff that is coming out. Um, Again, for the next couple of weeks, we only have smaller releases. There's one coming that I'm super excited for. I've been waiting for that game for a long time. That is Flintlock. That's actually going to come out in 7 days on July 18th. Flintlock Siege of Dawn is going to come out. And are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, very, very much looking forward to it. I've had it. We've had it on the Community Indie Showcase for the last 2 years or so now. So it's great to see it eventually releasing. It's one I've been looking forward to. It looks really cool. And I like the world around it. I like the fact that it's like a little bit of a Souls light, as they put it. So it's not as aggressive. You don't have to worry about kind of being overly difficult. So yeah, it looks very intriguing. I'm looking forward to it. It looks quite a lot of fun. So yeah, absolutely can't wait for Flintlock. It's been one I've had on my watch list for quite some time.
Did you play Ashen, their last
Yes.
game?
Yeah, I played it a little bit. Yeah, quite different. Quite different.
Quite a different game now. Yeah, definitely. I think Ashen was very controversial. Some really enjoyed it, others didn't like it. I thought it was kind of cool. It was a cool concept. But with Flintlock, they are definitely trying to go for a very different, well, kind of quality level, right? It looks beautiful, great art style, and yeah, it has some Souls elements, but it's not a Souls-like game. So I'm really looking forward to that, man. I'm in the mood for good RPG there.
Yeah.
Then we have the first big release of which kind of kicks off the fall season at the end of August, August 20th. We get Black Myth Wukong, only on PC, on PlayStation. But are you looking forward to that?
Kind of. I'm not going to go out my way to play Black Myth day one. It's not what I'm looking forward to it to an extent, but I'm not going to be jumping on it day one. It's not one of that's massively high on my list. However, I know that a lot of people are very excited about it, so it's good to see it eventually release. I hope, fingers crossed, and hope that it's everything they have shown it to be when we've seen it over the years, because they've shown a lot about that game.
Oh yeah,
They've shown a lot of things that it's meant to do or apparently can do, and how it looks and how it plays and things like that over the years. So let's see if it lives up to the expectation. They've built up their own expectations now from what they've shown off. So only time will tell now how that's received by everybody that plays it and whether or not it hits that mark. It's very odd. It's a game. They've never had something. I don't think that has had this much excitement behind a game that nobody's played yet. And I feel sometimes when it gets to that point when people are super excited about something that doesn't have a prequel, like a brand new IP, doesn't have a prequel. It hasn't. It's the first in its franchise or first in its style.
Actually, the first from the studio, right?
Yeah, the expectations can often outweigh the experience you get when it's launched.
Yeah.
And I hope that it hits the mark for them, and I hope that it hits the mark for people that are looking forward to the game as well. But with new IPs like that, it's always super risky because they've built up such a following of people and fans already, and nobody's played it. A select few might have played it at Gamescom last year, a little bite size of it.
Yeah.
We didn't want to wait 6 hours to play that game at Gamescom, so we didn't bother.
It was an insane line.
Yeah, and
literally
was 6 hours plus for that. It was just not worth playing for like 15, 20 minutes. There's no chance.
Yeah.
So we didn't bother. But I hope everybody that's looking forward to it lives up to expectations, but go easy is all I'm going to say. I would say probably drop your expectations a little bit because it is still the first title that they've released, especially to this degree. And I think people might get carried away with expectations. So I would always say go in cautiously and don't go too hard on them.
That's usually a smart thing, right?
Yeah.
Expectations, right? So then we have something. I'm not sure if it's going to do well, but I'm personally looking very much forward to it. Is Visions of Mana coming on August 29th. You're not a big Mana guy, I know that. But
I'm gonna play Visions of Mana. It's the first Mana. It's not that I'm not a big one. I've just never played the series. So this will be my first Mana game. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to try it out. And I absolutely hope that everybody like you in Vin that has told me the Mana series is one of the best ever series ever to grace the world in gaming, that it lives up to those expectations. And I will hold you to account.
Far. I wouldn't go that far.
I will hold you to account.
But yeah, no. See, with these kind of series, it has a lot to do with nostalgia, obviously. Yeah. Growing up as a kid on the Super Nintendo, I played the Mana series, and I have such fond memories of that series. And over the years, sometimes went back and played them for nostalgia reason. So yeah, this one really looks like they modernized the formula just in the right way. And from everything they've shown, it looks like a worthy successor, and I'm really looking forward to it. So then I think one of the biggest releases probably this year is gonna be Star Wars Outlaws, which comes out the day after Visions of Mana on August 30th. It's when I will finally be on my vacation, by the way. But I'm super excited for Star Wars Outlaws. I'm a Ubisoft fan. I do enjoy their games. I know people like to hate on the Ubisoft formula and every game is the same, and But when I look back over the last couple of years, what they've done with Far Cry 6, which was a fantastic sandbox, and Watch Dogs 3, and I even enjoyed Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then they tried to do something different with Mirage and going more back to the OG roots. So I feel like Ubisoft kind of is getting the hate undeserved, and with Outlaws, it looks phenomenal. Visually, stunning game. They hit that Han Solo tone, you're not being a Jedi this time, but we haven't had a proper open world Star Wars game in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And this does so many things, right? You have dogfighting in space, and you have stealth segments, and you have the fighting and shooting, and it all just looks like it's coming together, and I can't wait. I don't know if you're excited for it.
Yeah, somewhat. Again, it's much like Black Myth. It's not one I'm going to be playing day one. It looks cool. Yeah, looks cool enough, but it's not something I'm going to be jumping on immediately. I'll probably pick it up on sale several months after. Maybe play it next year.
Yeah.
It's not high up on the priority list, and not one I'm going to be spending $70 on. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but I'll look forward to it maybe next year when it's on sale and I've got a bit more time. Beginning of the year is the best time for that because it's a little bit quieter usually at that point.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. We'll have to prioritize, right?
Yeah.
Because again, August 29th, Visions of Mana, the day after Star Wars Outlaws, and then we have Age of Mythology coming on September 4th, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm going to be spamming you with video clips and images and everything when you're on holiday.
Oh, by the way, the beta is going to start in less than a week, in 6 days, July 17th.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's going to be a huge time sink. And then the day after Age of Mythology, Stalker 2 comes out, which is also easily a 100-hour plus game.
Yeah.
If you do side stuff, of course. They said it's going to take you 40 to 50 hours to finish the campaign. But if you do side stuff, it's going to be a lot more. And Stalker 2 is definitely one of my most anticipated games this year.
Yeah. Stalker 2 is high up on my list of games. It's not going to be an easy one. I fully appreciate that. It's going to take me, like everybody, it's going to be one of those things where you have to be patient around how you progress in areas and do things the right way or mess up and find out the hard way. But it's one that I'm really looking forward to, and it looks superb. So I cannot wait for Stalker 2. So it's for me, it will be a case of naturally picking up Visions of Mana and then skipping Star Wars, do that next year. But playing Age of Mythology via Gamepass. Thank you, Gamepass. And I already own the original Age on Steam anyway, so so I don't need to buy it again. But I'm playing retooled Age of Mythology and then jumping on Stalker 2. That's my line there. And the good thing about these three games is that they're entirely different. All of them are entirely different. Visions of Mana is nothing like Age, and Age is nothing like Stalker, and vice versa. You can swap them all around.
Yeah.
So for me, that's perfect. Because it's what you call palette cleansers. Gesundheit. Gesundheit.
Thank you. I don't know.
It's palette cleansers. You know what it's like when you've been playing one type of thing forever. Like when you've been, there's so many RPGs out these days as well. When you're playing like Gesundheit. When you've been playing Octopath Traveler and Ayuden Chronicles and like me, Days Gone, and then you go in Visions of Mana, and then you've just had a Final Fantasy not too long ago, and Like all of these RPGs combined, at some point you need to like, okay, I'm going to step out of that RPG realm and I'm going to Gesundheit, and I'm going to.
I don't know what's going on, man.
And I'm gonna. You want to kind of change it up and play something else, and having a nice RPG, tactical game like Age, and then going on to an FPS essentially. How would you even put it? A survival FPS, or as like Stalker 2?
It's a mixture of a survival RPG elements.
Yeah,
It's not an
Survivor-
RPG, but it has certain elements and
RPG light.
Yeah.
FPS survival game. Yep. In the Stalker, it's just good to have a combination of multiple different types of games in order to kind of keep yourself interested, especially like me and my lovely neuro brain that gets bored of things very quickly, even if I'm enjoying it. Yes, I'm enjoying this, but I want to stop now. Having a palate cleanser to go, okay, I'm just jump off this, I'm going to play this for a little bit instead, and then I can come back to this, and then maybe tomorrow or the day after when my head feels like it again. It's great. It's great having that nice combination of different types of games to play.
Absolutely. And I still think it's a miracle that the game even comes out after everything that the devs had to go through to release a game that looks that good, that has that much content, that has such a scope, it is a miracle. And that it's not ending with Stalker 2, because the day after Stalker 2 we get Astrobot
Yes.
on PlayStation, and
Yep.
it's basically the only first party game that is coming for the rest of the year, right? Noteworthy first party game, and actually Astrobot looks good. I haven't played a good 3D platformer in a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is one hell of a week. Within 1 week, Visions of Mana, Star Wars Outlaws, Age of Mythology, Stalker 2, and Astrobot. Yeah, we will definitely have to prioritize.
I'm glad that I only have to buy 2 of those.
True.
Visions and Astrobot.
Yeah, well, Outlaws. I'm thinking about doing a Ubisoft Plus subscription for a month or so, right?
That's a good shout.
And then play it through.
I might do that to see if I like Outlaws before buying it, because I've done this. I've done this with Ubisoft games before, where I've bought them, hoping I like them, and then never finished them. And I want to get away from just hoarding a collection of games. As much as that's great for like, if somebody comes over and they want to play on something, I can just go, well, take your pick of every game ever released.
Yeah.
Because I'm a hoarder.
It's
not good for my wallet, is what.
I totally understand that. I got better at it. I'm still not there. I buy,
especially when sales come around, because I just end up buying shit for the sake of it. I'm just like, ooh, look at this! It's £10. Let's buy it. I'm not gonna play it, but I want it.
Yeah. I got better at it, but yeah. I'm just a fan of video games, and I want to own them. It's what it is. So yeah, then Dutch, actually we have almost 3 weeks to play all those games that come out that week. Until the release of The Legend of Zelda on September 26th. And to be honest, I'm actually looking forward to that a lot, but I think I might hold on, because there is no chance that by September 26th I will have finished all those games: Visions of Mana, Star Wars Outlaws, Age of Mythology, Stalker 2, and Astrobot. Yeah. There's no chance that I will have finished those. So as much as I'm looking forward to Zelda, on September 26th, I think this is one I'm gonna wait until, I don't know, around Christmas time or so.
Yeah.
Then
I
the
mean,
week
it looks okay, Zelda, but it's not something I'm going to jump on. I made the big mistake of Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, is it? Tears of the Kingdom. Or
Tears of the
Breath of the Wild.
Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom was the last one, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I made that mistake with Tears of the Kingdom. I went, right, okay, I'm going to give it another chance. I enjoyed it a little bit more than I did Breath of the Wild, but ultimately I fell off it pretty quickly.
See, I
It's
might
a
be in the
different type of Zelda
minority.
game, and I'm glad it's a different type of Zelda game again. You're playing as Princess, well, the princess this time around.
Zelda herself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zelda herself as opposed to Link. But ultimately, it's still like in Metroid Prime, the new one, is
Yeah.
something I will absolutely get day one.
Yeah, for sure.
But Zelda's, oh, nope. I'll not do that day one again. And Mario possibly in the future, Mario Kart 9 when that comes out, I'll get either getting that day one.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
Zelda, it's much like on every platform. I think there's always that big franchise that you just don't click with as much as everybody else does.
Right?
And for me, that big franchise is Zelda. It's just not been one that
Really?
really has ever stuck with me. Mario usually has because I grew up more on Mario than I did with Zelda. Pokemon, naturally, of course. I've played that since the original games come out.
See,
I've played
that's the
all of
one
the original.
that isn't clicking with me.
That's the one that
So
you don't like, yeah, exactly. So yours is Pokemon, and which is surprising because it's an RPG.
I know.
It's just your kind of game. It's
Yeah,
absolutely your
it
kind of
really
game. You just
isn't.
don't like it.
It
Yeah.
really isn't. No, I love Zelda. I think this could be actually the first Zelda that I might not get day one. And I did enjoy Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but they are they're good games, but they are not Zelda games to me. Like, Zelda has always been um Zelda has always been like this kind of Metroidvania ish game. It's not a
It was
Metroidvania.
originally, yeah. The
Yeah,
original,
you
yeah.
get the bow, and with that you can open up the next temple, and then you get, I don't know, the bombs, and you can open up the next temple. And with Breath of the Wild, and also with Tears of the Kingdom, I did enjoy Tears of the Kingdom more than Breath of the Wild, to be frank. They introduced so many mechanics that were not Zelda-like.
Yeah, it
They
turned it
didn't have
more into
this.
a big open world RPG.
There's nothing like when you walk in Ocarina of Time, into the cathedral, and you pull out the sword, and in these kind of moments, we're just missing in those kind of in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and I stand by that, and I know people are gonna hate me for saying that, but the best Zelda game we got on the Switch was actually Link's Awakening, the remake.
Yep.
Phenomenal Zelda game, and that's why I'm actually so excited for the upcoming Zelda.
I think I know why your sound don't ignore the fiddling with things. I think just bring the microphone closer to you, and I think that
I
should
can't.
resolve a lot
I'm
of it.
like literally sitting
On it. Hello.
basically.
I think it's the distance thing. For some
I
reason,
can.
the gain keeps dropping out every time you like sit further back. So I think you're just gonna have to sit on it. It should be fine.
Okay. I'm gonna try that. Very unnatural position.
Oh no.
I like to be comfortable when I'm podcasting, but yeah. But anyway, the Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom is kind of reminding me of Link's Awakening. It has the same art style, it looks like the same type of game. So yeah, man. That's why I'm looking forward to it, but at some point you kind of have to admit defeat. and you won't be able to play them all in
Nope.
September. It's just
And that's we haven't even included the ones that don't have official release dates yet. We still don't have an official release
yeah,
date.
we'll
for
get to
Avowed.
that. We get to
or
that
indie.
exactly. There might
Yeah.
be an Avowed or I don't know, Shattered Space or
Indie.
Indiana Jones or something like that dropping in that month too.
Isn't
because
Shattered Space September?
Have they announced a date for Shattered?
I think they had a date for Shattered Space. Yeah.
Because no, it's still set for fall. I think that was a rumor. It's not officially announced. Yeah. Just fall.
Oh yeah, it might be. I might be thinking something else.
Yeah. So yeah, and then October is gonna continue to bring us insanely good games and tons of stuff to play. One I'm not getting, but I just want to mention it briefly, is Silent Hill 2. It's coming on October 8th.
I won't be doing that immediately either.
Yeah,
I'll pick it up at some point. That's an on-sale game for me. I will get it on sale.
I'm not placing a bet on that, to be honest. You can't play them all, and honestly, the stuff they have shown from Silent Hill 2 remake.
Oh, I won't be getting
do
it anywhere
much for
near
me.
this year. It'll be some point next year when it's reduced. And
Yeah, but next
on
year
sale.
we get Fable and other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not. See, that's the thing about this. Since there are so many good games out there, and I'm not wasting on my time on mediocre games.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
yeah. If I have so many good games that I can play, why waste my time on a game that looks mediocre? If it turns out to be an awesome remake and it's gonna be fantastic, yeah, okay, then we'd talk again. But to me, it doesn't look like it's gonna do that, you know. But the other game that comes out that day, well, it's actually not a game. It's a DLC. It's a Vessel of Hatred for Diablo 4, and you know I'll be all over that.
Yeah, you will.
For sure. And that's what I mean. So Silent Hill is completely getting buried in the release, and a month after its release, everyone will have forgotten it. And so I'm gonna focus on Diablo Vessel of Hatred. Can't wait to get a new class, a new character, new campaign. Really looking forward to that, man. They have optimized Diablo 4 so much. Honestly, now with Season 4, the game is incredibly good. So I really can't wait to play that. And the same month, Dutch, of course, we are going to get Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on October 25th.
Yep.
Which is also awesome. I can't wait, man.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to fork out $70 for that.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a big Call of Duty multiplayer guy. I never have and probably never will be. However, I do enjoy the Call of Duty campaigns. But since they are super short, like 5-6 hours, I usually refuse to buy Call of Duty full price. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good. It's good, man.
Yep.
Then we have Sonic Generations, Shadow X. I know Hertog Win is gonna be all over that. Yeah.
Well, no doubt Vin will be buying that on PlayStation because they've got an exclusive level for Shadow or exclusive intro video or something for Shadow that you don't get on Xbox. That is on PlayStation. So no doubt Vinny boy will be playing that on PlayStation and not Xbox. Because you'll want all the goodness. You won't want random things cut out of his Sega title.
You gonna pick it up?
Nah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Again.
Nope. I made that mistake with Sonic Frontiers. I made that mistake with Sonic Frontiers.
All right. one game I'm definitely going to pick up is Assassin's Creed Shadows, though.
Yes, yeah,
That
I'll
will
be picking
come
that
out
up.
in November 15th, and um, that looks absolutely awesome, stunning.
Yep.
I'm still surprised that they didn't move over to the Snowdrop engine for Assassin's Creed,
Yeah,
but
I know.
it's still looking remarkable. And I like the two character approach that they are doing. One is more stealthy, one is more of a tank. Combine the things that made Assassin's Creed so popular, like having the stealth, but then still stick to what they did with the last couple of open worlds with more combat focused gameplay style. Combine that, the setting is fantastic. So you gonna pick
Yeah.
that up?
Yeah. There's two settings of Assassin's Creed that I loved more. Egypt was okay. The ancient Rome was okay. No, the Greek. The Greek
Greek
was
was the
okay with the
best.
Spartans.
Odyssey, Assassin's Creed
Yeah,
Odyssey was peak. That
but for
was
me, it was Valhalla, of course, with the Vikings, and especially with it based in historic England with Jorvik, etc. So I enjoyed that. And the next one, my other favorite kind of time period was samurai and feudal Japan.
yeah,
So those are my two kind of things that I love, which is the Viking era
yeah,
and feudal Japan. Those two things are just in terms of the type of gameplay that you have. Like the only gripe that I had with Valhalla was, of course, that they had to force assassins into a Viking game.
yeah.
They're the least assassin kind of people in the world. Very methodical, very tactical, but definitely not assassins. Not that way anyway. They had berserkers. Those berserkers that are essentially for hire Vikings that would go out and kill people, but they're very brutal about it and very not stealthy. Um, and then on the flip side, then you have the stealthy the actual assassin approach of the samurai and the ninjas of feudal Japan. And that's a little bit more inclined. The only thing I hope for these following games is they don't try to ham fist the stupid modern day
Modern
stuff
day,
into it, but they
yeah,
will. I know they will,
yeah,
and it's gonna spoil certain sections of the game when you'd have to it takes you out of the setting that you want to be in to do some rubbishy modern day investigative stuff for 2 seconds, and then you jump back in again and get back to the actual game you want to play. I just wish in the Assassin's Creed games that are based outside of Ezio or that period that they didn't have modern day.
yeah.
Just ditch it. You don't need it. No one wants it. They only want it in the original titles that have Ezio and the original assassins in.
Where the storyline actually made sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Outside of that, get rid of the animus.
yeah.
Pointless.
Agree. I agree. All right. So then in November, Assassin's Creed is gonna keep us busy, but also Microsoft Flight Simulator is gonna come out on November 19th, 4 days after Assassin's Creed, and I know you're
Yes.
super excited for that.
Yep. Yeah, I'm probably still one of the. It's taken up a fucking astronomical amount of space on my Xbox still right now. By the way, it's about 300 gig. 300
Jesus.
gig of my Xbox is currently devoted to Flight Sim.
Oof.
And because they keep adding world expansions that add another few gig on every other month, where they're like, "Oh, we've just revamped this part of the world with all fancy new like graphics, and this part of the world's now being done with realistic like buildings, and this part of the world." Every time you get one of these, it's another couple of gig. Every time you add another plane into it, it's another couple of gig. And when you buy a plane, it's another couple of gig. So it just goes up and up and up and up and up and up. It is by far the biggest game on Xbox by a long shot in terms of size. Like Call of Duty, it has nothing on that. Call of Duty's small fry compared to Flight Sim.
Yeah, 300 gigs is insane, dude. So yeah, and then there's nothing so far announced for December officially. But there are, of course, a couple of games that haven't gotten release dates just yet. And that includes all the big Xbox games. So we're gonna have Avowed, Indiana
Yep.
Jones, Towerborn, and Shattered Space.
Yep.
Still coming this year.
And I want to play all of them. For a change, they're releasing 4 games, and I want to play all of them. I can't wait to play Towerborn properly with friends. I've had the pleasure of playing that in closed beta. I'm playing it with yourself when they were showing it off for the first time at Gamescom. And I absolutely adore it, love it, cannot wait to play with friends. Shattered Space, I've said countless times, the next time I'll be going back to Starfield is when Shattered Space releases. That's when I'll next be playing the game, and I can't wait to do that. I've already beat the game once. I'm not the type of person that's going to go and replay it 55 times to get different kinds of worlds. For people who are enjoying doing that and absolutely love the universe of Starfield, good on you. But I've finished the game. I've finished the missions that I want to finish. So I'm waiting for Shattered Space, and I can't wait because it looks like a horror setting that they've went for this time, which is right up my street. And I love the fact that it went down that route.
Yeah, I mean, they're going down the storyline of House of Varun, right?
Yeah.
So, it's going to be a little bit darker.
Yes, and that's exactly what I want. Especially, like, I love sci-fi horror, like space sci-fi horror.
Yeah.
And if they can bring that a little bit more of that into Starfield in the way they have with Shattered Space, I cannot wait, because there was that one mission where they in the main game where they had you kind of going after this kind of genetic research laboratory, and the aliens were starting to come out of it, and these mad creatures that you had to defeat, and that was a little bit more on the sketchy horror side, and that was the most intrigue for me, the most intriguing storyline in the base game. I loved it, and I was sad that it wasn't longer. I loved that, and I thought they could have plumped it up a bit more. But if they're going down the horror route in Shattered Space, that I am all over that. Cannot wait for it. And naturally, I'm an old person, so I love Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, indeed. It's gonna be
so
a
I can't wait to play
trip,
that.
man.
And Avowed, I've been waiting for a Skyrim-esque game for a while, so I am all over that as well.
Yeah, indeed. Man, Obsidian makes such great RPGs. I think in between Avowed and Stalker 2, those two are my most anticipated games for this year. Really can't wait for both of them. So
yeah,
it's gonna be fantastic for Game Pass gamers, right?
Yeah.
Price hike or not, there's tons of stuff coming. As for Shattered Space, what I do hope that they do a little bit more is, anti-gravity missions, because this is something you can't do in a sci-fi in a high fantasy setting, and you can't do that in a post-apocalyptic setting like Skyrim and Fallout. But you can do that in a sci-fi setting like Starfield. And the few missions we had where you actually had like battles and fights in anti-gravity were so good. And I thought like they should have done more with that mechanic. And I sure hope that they will pick that up in Shattered Space again. So yeah, another one we still don't have a release date is Dragon Age Veilguard. And I am not sure. Maybe that game gets delayed, but where do you squeeze that in? I mean, we just talked about it. End of August, starting 29th, basically. 29th of August. We have such a packed holiday season. Where do you squeeze in a Dragon Age, which is also easily a 50-plus hour game?
I won't be squeezing it in, that's for sure.
I kind of have to. It looks just too good. and you know how much I love high. I kind of have to. I have to. I really do enjoy Dragon Age, and I also did enjoy Dragon Age Inquisition. I know it's a diverse opinion, but divisive opinion, but it's like I like that they are going to do like a modern day gameplay element. It's going to more in the hack and slash area, but it still has all the RPG elements. The party system is there, and the gameplay that they have shown was already looking fantastic, and it was like basically the opening, I think, of the game, because your character was level 1, right? The 20 minutes of gameplay they have shown look phenomenal, and they've shown the skill trees and everything, and it's gonna be a very deep experience, and I can't wait. And I'm a sucker for those high fantasy RPGs, so I kind of have to squeeze that in whenever it comes out. When do you think they are going to drop it? Is it a September, October, November kind of game?
I would imagine more October, November.
Yeah, I would assume so too. Even November, December would have been actually my guess, because everything else, September and October, are too filled already. They know that, and they want to do well with a Dragon Age. It's like the redemption of BioWare. You know what I mean? BioWare has had a couple of rough releases with Mass Effect Andromeda and
Anthem.
Anthem. Thank you. So I feel like they want to show the world that they still got it. But if they release that within September or October, along with a Call of Duty and a Diablo and Zelda and an Astrobot and Star Wars Outlaws or somewhere in there, it's gonna be really
Swallowed
hot
up.
for them. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like they want to give the game room to breathe. That's why I could see it get delayed into early next year, or it's gonna come out more towards the end of the year, because so far, again, for December, nothing has been announced. And towards the end of November, it's also already looking like it's going to slow down, and I feel like that would be a good spot for them. So yeah, Dutch, tons of stuff coming, of course. A couple of smaller indie games are also coming throughout that time period. It's gonna be one hell of a year for gaming, man. But yeah, let us move on. Let us move on, and let's talk about our community questions of the week, right? Because we have a couple of good ones. The first one comes in from Vinny Boy. He says, "Should we torture the person who invented the rare item drop in a shop as a mechanic in game? Yes, I'm looking at you, Ayuden Chronicles. I need one more recipe to 100% the game, and it ain't dropping in the shop for 10 hours or so. That's torture." Yeah, that's why I don't go for 100%, and I don't care about achievements. I just enjoy games.
Yep.
That's the pain of being an achievement hunter, man. So,
Vin, it's not the worst one. I mentioned this the other day. The original Fable has a achievement tied directly to Xbox Smart Class that is now completely unobtainable.
yeah.
So you can't 100% Fable if you started it now. You
There you
cannot. It is not obtainable.
I'm telling you, it's such a relief if you get rid of that idea to collect all trophies and all achievements and just enjoy the game. Such a relief. Kirby Louise writes in, and it's actually an interesting one. Something to discuss. The Mesa UWP. Will Xbox get the PS3 emulation before PlayStation 5? How funny do you think that will be? maybe even a Switch emulation. I don't know if you've seen that, Dutch, but it could very well be that we will get an emulator really soon that will allow us to play PlayStation 3 games on Xbox.
Yep.
What do you think?
I mean, it's an open source platform, so that's what happens when you get an open source platform that allows you to put apps on there like emulators. You can do that. So, yeah, it is what it is. That's Microsoft has always been an open source platform. It's like Android versus Apple. Android, you can install anything you want to if you want to do. Apple, you can't. Same on PlayStation. It's a very closed ecosystem. They usually try to funnel you into only their things, and like their cameras, you can plug any camera into the Xbox and use it as a streaming cam. On PlayStation, you have to use PlayStation's camera. No other camera will work. Same with other devices. Audio devices have to be specifically from them or their partnered people, otherwise it doesn't work. So yeah, it's always going to be the same. So while it does sound amusing, I highly expect it to be the case.
Agree. Once more, Xbox is the platform for game preservation, right?
Yeah.
The Big Bridge writes in and asks, in a video game cafe between worlds, there's a magical jukebox with every single video game music ever made, and you have 3 coins to play 3 back-to-back soundtracks. Which 3 game soundtracks would you select to make you the coolest in the crowd?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. I would say, I think Nier Automata's soundtrack was phenomenal.
That is a good choice.
That's absolutely one of them. Nier Automata's soundtrack was one of them. I'm gonna have to say Final Fantasy VII soundtrack was phenomenal as well. There's so many good tracks on that. So many good tracks that it's kind of hard to list them all. There's just so many good fond memories of that.
Yeah. I think I would put on Halo 2 because I love Breaking Benjamin.
For me, it's a toss-up between Halo 2, and we all know why. Because of course, Steve Vai and his unbelievable guitar skills. And also Doom. Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. Both of those had phenomenal soundtracks.
That is a phenomenal soundtrack indeed.
It's a toughie. It's a joint third between Halo 2 Anniversary and Doom 2016.
That is true. I might throw in actually Skyrim.
That's a good shout.
Such a calming soundtrack, man. There have been so many good games with soundtracks. It's kind of hard to nail them down. All right. Great question, though. Stormplayer DX writes in. I I have one question. What do you think about the closing from Piranha Bytes? The founders of them already founded a new studio called Pithead Studio, with a focus on action, adventure, horror, and RPG elements. Oh, I had no idea that they already moved on. That is good to hear. But I think that we covered the Piranha Bytes earlier, so I want to move on to Parasite 82's question. He says, or asks, I jumped recently into Diablo 4 and have to say it appears to be so much better than when it first released, and now I can't wait for Vessel of Hatred in October. My question is, are we happy about Dead Rising remaster, or like me finding yourself disappointed it is not a remake with really juiced up graphics like Resident Evil 2?
Yeah, it's because of these. Like, I'd rather I'd rather, if they were going to do an older title like that, then they do a remake as opposed to a remaster. It's a lot of the times these remasters, like, they don't add enough to justify a new price tag. It's just a resold game with a little bit of a sprinkling of updated graphics, but not enough to bring it into the modern day. Kind of just
but this time it's kind of different. They moved over to the RE engine, right? They did. I'm still surprised that they call it a remaster, because we have gotten remakes that did less, right? But they're calling it a remaster, and they actually did a lot to it, new engine and stuff. But I'm with you, like fully juiced graphics. It isn't like it still looks like a remaster, but if you actually do comparisons, it kind of is crazy how much they did to it. Unfortunately, it's not gonna come out in Germany. Too gory for us. Might have to switch regions again. I'm not gonna do that.
I don't know how they can possibly say it's too gory for Germany. Come on now.
I know our government is weird, very weird. However,
You can play Dead Space and people get their limbs ripped off left, right, and center, but zombie game, absolutely not.
That's how we roll, man. That's how we roll. But on the other hand, we get boobs in our games.
Boobs, loads of boobs.
Yeah. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. All right, Dutch. That already brings us to the end of this podcast, man. Hasn't been the biggest week for news, but it has been a blast to discuss everything with you and, of course, our awesome community. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who tuned in here today. You guys are absolutely awesome. Of course, also a big shout out to everyone who listened on Spotify or Apple Podcast after the fact. Glad you made it to the end. That's super awesome. And Dutch, let everyone know what you've coming up and what you are working on.
Yeah, certainly. So still working on the website in the background, slowly but surely. Just taking my time with it. I'm going to get a few articles and things prepped for it as well. So when it's ready to go live, there'll be things obviously ready to read and look through. Outside of that, going to return to some kind of streaming-ish schedule. It might be ad hoc, but I'm going to go back to streaming again soon, playing some games on stream. But yeah, other than that, just your standard, just doing the podcast weekly, or if there's enough news, of course, what me and Boxy don't want to do is just do a podcast for the sake of doing it, which is why essentially part of the reason last week didn't make too much sense. It was so light on the ground that we didn't want to force a podcast to everybody for the sake of it and just kind of flesh out really wafer thin topics. So that tied up with just general kind of life things. It didn't make much sense to force a podcast for that. And ultimately would rather be honest with you, is if it's just dead on topics, then likelihood is we'll probably postpone to the week after and hope that there is something to speak about worth having a conversation about.
Agree.
But yeah, other than that, podcasting, streaming, and getting the website up and running.
That sounds like a busy plan, man. Again, big thank you to everyone who joined us here today. Big shout out, of course, to the channel members that do support us, and of course the super chats that came in. We super appreciate that. And yeah, we hope, of course, to be back next week. And until then, we talked about that earlier in the show. We all play very different games these days, but it's the beauty of gaming. There's so much to play. So enjoy your gaming and don't forget to game on.